What's going on, traders? Going 3 for 3 today. It was actually a pretty slow day until we got our last trade. So make sure you stick around for that. Just going to do another recap today because one trade was from the live stream. The other two happened after lunch. And yeah, let's just jump right into this. Our one trade that we did have on stream was CGC. This was a decent little move. Nothing too special. Previous resistance from yesterday, 396. You can see it was at 4 in the pre-market from yesterday. If we zoom in, it didn't really do anything special, but then it did start to make a decent little move. Started this thing at 425. It did get up to 430, kept retesting it. When it started to come back down and break that little triangle that it made, I decided to add to it because we didn't really have much size and just risking high of day at that point. And it decided to work, took it off. And as you can see, it did try to bounce and go higher, but ultimately this thing did end up failing. So that was a pretty decent trade considering we really only had a starter added to the backside and got a decent little win out of it. PETZ was actually our next trade. This one has been pretty crazy. I kind of felt like it was going to make a bigger move over here because usually when this thing spikes, it spikes on a lot of volume. Today, it was moving higher on not a lot of volume. So I was like, I bet you this thing might actually try to move higher. None of this was really something I would play anyways. Maybe this move here, but it really wasn't enough of a push up through that 350 area to really warrant trying anything. But this move, however, as you can see, we had this previous high, 382, made a decent move up through 4 and ended up getting short at 413. Was hoping for 420, but when we got in this, it actually had stopped around this 413 area and then went up to 424. Tried to go higher, 426, didn't quite get it. Came down, gave us that 4 test. We originally had our order front running $4, but when it missed, it actually missed our order here on this candle, which was here, 403. We were at 403 and didn't get filled. So after it tried to go a little bit higher, back up to 412. I was like, you know what? If it comes down and breaks that 403, the odds are we're going to get that nice little push down through 4. So I put my order at 390. And originally this came down to 391 and started to move back up. So we dragged our order up from 390, got filled at 394. And then a little bit after that, it went down and tested 388 before going back up to the highs again. It did ultimately end up being a little bit of a fake out breakout, came down, retested that previous resistance almost perfectly and tested it a couple times. And as you can see, it is trying to work its way back up. So for the sake of Steve, I hope this thing runs to $15 overnight because he could use it. Last trade was TBLT. This is the one that kind of saved the day. And decent little move. Previous resistance from yesterday's highs there at 515. Made a move up through there. And this thing really did jiggle pretty well at this 539 area. We ended up getting short at 535, looking for it to come down. Just had no interest in coming down at all. 529, decided to come up. And I was really hoping for a big pop through 550. However, this went to about 552 and, or 553, I should say. And it didn't seem like it wanted to go any higher. So we added right there a little bit before I normally would want to. And of course, right after that, it decided to go up and hit 559, which is where I would have liked my ad. So our average now is at 541. And as you can see, it kept just basically bouncing off of it. 537 was as low as it got, but I'm obviously looking for the bigger pullback down into the 520s. However, this thing had different plans, decided to go higher. I was sitting here waiting. You can see I actually got it on this candle, but this candle went to 563 and just could not get through it. It was like there was a big order there just kind of chilling. It wasn't like super fast, but it was just sitting there. It wasn't going through. So I was expecting one of two things in this point. I hadn't put my order out yet. When it was just sitting there, I was like, this is either going to start to move back down and I'm going to add, or this thing is going to get through that 563 and we might actually get a pop up into the where the halt price was. Cause I think at this point it was at 577 or something like that. But it started to come back down. We added at 558 and then it started to hover here at this 555, 557 area. And once I realized it was going to break the bottom of that 555 area, because there was an order that seemed to be sitting there as well. We went ahead and added as it broke that. We got filled at 551, basically doubling our shares. We started this with 40 and did 40, 40. So we had 120 up here. We actually added another 120. And as we hit the button, it immediately dropped. Was really hoping it would flush down through that 537 area, but it started to hold. So we took off, I believe, about 75% because we took half and then we took half again. And I was really hoping for 525 on the rest of these. That did finally get down there. But when we dropped down through to 528 and it started to come back up, I was like, I'm not going to be that close and worry about a couple cents with 60 shares. So I took it off and it did get there. But as you can see, people did start stepping in and this thing went back to high a day and it's slowly kind of fading off here into the belt. So that's all I got. I do have one more thing. We did hit our all-time highs again. I wanted to kind of take a moment to just kind of look at this real quick. I was pretty excited on that TBL trade because that's the one that did it for us. Let me drag this over so you see a little bit better. But yeah, we finally got back up there. 60.60 was the previous all-time highs, and today that put us at 60.73. So we're back up into the all-time highs category. Really liking how we're trading with this. Basically, it's the same strategy, just able to trade some things. Like I don't think I would have traded PETZ today, and I definitely don't think I would have traded TBLT as quickly as I would have, which then allowed me to build some size. So even if I waited for TBLT up through 50, probably still not taking enough shares to make the same $20 that I ended up making because I added shares the way that I did it, the way that I did. Plus, I wouldn't have been able to see kind of how the price action was working to allow myself to add to the backside like I did, and I'm really liking it. Pretty slow day overall, and to make $40 on a, we're been averaging between, 50 and like 80, $90. I don't remember how high that one day was. I think it was almost 90. But to only have 3 trades and make $40, which is almost the minimum of that, I'm pretty happy about it. And I look forward to keep trucking along. Hopefully my confidence can keep building into the end of the month, because at the end of the month, I do plan on scaling up. I'm basically going to I decided what I'm going to do, just to give you guys an update here. I'm going to take my montage and I'm going to make all these pink buttons just one button. So it's just going to be a DC button, which just means double click. But right now I've been hitting 25%, and I found instead of using previous resistance, I am going to use VWAP. That way, no matter how big the extension is, like if I'm getting into it, I'm looking for a big extension. So the odds are it's extended away from VWAP, and the odds are it's going to be a pretty similar extension away from VWAP every time I trade it. However, if I wanted to start, say, TBLT, and I'm always basing my shares off of previous resistance, if I wanted to start this, say at 525, because it made a big move from down here, it's a little bit harder. I can't use previous resistance. But if it were up here at 550, I could use previous resistance, and you can see how that makes a big difference in share size. If I'm that close to previous resistance, it's going to give me a lot bigger share size, a lot bigger share size to make the same amount that I would need if I was looking for the same retest up here from 550. So if I always use VWAP and I always use the same amount, if something is going and I really like it, instead of having to worry about, oh, well, I think this is an A+ setup, I'm going to take 100%, or I think this is, a medium setup, I'm going to take 50%. I can now just have one button. And if I want to, I can either change the share size after I see what the share size is, like I could double it, or I can just hit the button twice. So like if I double click and I hit 50% and I want to, it would be 123 shares. I could just hit short. I could just hit it twice, right? And I would just get double the shares if I really like something. So that's kind of the thought process going through my head, and I'm looking forward to it. And for right now, I am going to leave it the way that it is, because I haven't officially made that decision, but just to kind of let you guys know where my thought process is on that moving forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Always appreciate that support. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below. You can always find me in Discord or over on Twitter, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.